far on the point about care workers in care homes and the requirement that this House has now made that they should all be vaccinated, even if they have got a genuine desire not to be vaccinated for reasons because they may be fearful of the consequences. Although these consequences only flow in a minority of cases, it surely should be the judgment of each individual as to whether or not they are going to take the risk of having a vaccination or whether they're not going to take a risk of having a vaccination. And obviously we know that even if people are vaccinated, it doesn't mean that they are immune from COVID-19, and it certainly doesn't mean that they are incapable of transmitting COVID-19 to somebody else. So in those are all issues which need to be weighed up. But going back to the Honourable Gentleman's challenge, which is basically, he seems to be suggesting that these hapless families, probably 10,000 of them, maybe more than that, who have suffered real serious damage as a result of doing the right thing, that those people should be left hanging around for years wondering whether or not they're going to be eligible for any compensation. I think that that is totally the wrong message. The message the government should be saying is that if you do the right thing, you will be looked after by the government if something goes wrong. That is, in a sense, what we do with the military covenant. People enter into the armed service of our country, and if something goes wrong, then they expect the government to look after them, and we do. And we should be doing exactly the same for those who have suffered vaccine damage, instead of talking around the subject in the way that the reply from the Minister to this petition suggests is the government policy. I could wear.
I do thank my old friend for giving way, and he's been very generous with his time so far today. I just wanted to ask, I've been listening really intently to what he has to say. I'm just conscious, in terms of the narrative here, how do we ensure that, yes, on the one hand, people who do suffer severe disablement as a result of vaccines get that support and pain, but on the other hand, we do not create a culture of hesitancy where people don't uptake vaccines or equally don't produce vaccines. There's a fear of being cast that these things might cause mass severe side effects. I'm just conscious to hear his views on that.
Well, I'm trying to address that point, because obviously you can't ignore the fact that there is a fear out there about vaccination. And it's not, in a sense, you can't suppress reports of coroners saying somebody's died as a result of having a vaccination. You can't suppress reports. I know from my own personal knowledge of people who have suffered people in really good health, and then they had their first vaccine. And I know of one person in particular who then had a stroke and was in hospital for some time of that, and then had severe heart problems and even had to be referred to Harefield Hospital. Now, those are not just anecdotes, those are facts which are known across the country by people. The government may have not been too keen to promote that information, but I think in failing to do that, it is actually counterproductive. Those facts are out there, we know that. So what we need to do is to say to people that if they are in that very small minority of people who suffer these adverse consequences, then we will be looking after them absolutely 100% without expecting them to get lawyers engaged and all the rest of, and agonising for their families and loved ones. That's what I think we owe them. And we do that in a number of other fields for people who serve our country. And I would like to equate those people who actually get vaccinated, do the right thing, and act in the public interest, because by being vaccinated we are all collectively able to contribute to better public health for all. But if you do that, then the other side of the coin should be that because you're doing it for the state, for the benefit of the state, then you should be guaranteed that if something goes wrong, then the state will help you. And it's the reluctance of the government to deal with that part of the equation, which I think is so distressing, because it's actually feeding in to those people who are vaccine hesitant. Because I can't say to somebody who comes to my surgery and says that they're nervous about having a vaccine for themselves or for one of their children, well, don't worry, if in the most unlikely event that something goes wrong, you'll be fully recompensed. I can't say that to them. But if I could say that to them, it might be that they'd be more likely to take the risk. That's the issue. I could wait, Honourable Friend.